Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Becky from Bags by Becky Mac. In today's video, we're going to make this cute Camelia bag from Shamballa Bags Designs. It's a simple bag to make. It has a zipper, one zipper pocket with an overlay, and it's nice and deep. It's made with waterproof canvas. We have vinyl in the leopard and orange for contrast. I've got that from Bolt's Bags Faux. I also put some purse feet on it, and I've used black matte hardware. I also made another cute little bag, but I changed it up because I used a heat transfer decal to put on it, and I used some upholstery material. So I had to heat press this, and when I did that, this did not fit along here. So everything's the same on this bag, except for the contrasting strap. So you can modify it. I also used a chain, and there's the strap. It's a cute little shoulder bag. So if you like this bag, you can go to my website and purchase these bags and other bags I've made. Now it's time to get started on let's make this handbag. Okay, let's go over the pieces you're going to need for this bag. You will need a lower band that will have the markings in the pattern. You'll be clipping this down to fold this. This will go on one of your exterior panels. Then you're interfacing the bottom of the bag. Markings for the purse feet. Everything's in the pattern. You need your zipper pocket, 2 lining panels, 2 exterior panels, and I have marked for the grommets on both pieces. Again, all that's in the pattern. You need your zipper overlay. You'll need some zipper tape. I'm choosing probably the chain. I'm going to use a chain, but I do have cut out for the strap, so we'll see how it goes when we get there. Okay. And then the accessories you will need: your bag tag, optional. You'll need some rivets, optional again with the depending on if I use the strap or not, but strap ends. You'll need some zipper pulls, your purse feet. You'll need 2 gate rings, and you'll need 4 grommets. I'll be using Tex 70 poly bonded thread in black, and then I'll be using an 18 size needle. So let's get started on putting the pieces together. Okay, first thing we're going to do, as I said, put the markings that are in the pattern, and I put double-sided tape, and you want to fold down on that line, and I put the snips in it, and we fold all that around, pressing it firmly down and down the line there. If you need to clip a little bit, we can to hold it until we place it onto the main exterior. So we'll go all around like that. And I found that if you put the double-sided tape on first and then you snip it, it folds right along with it. I know that might sound weird, but if you don't cut the tape with your snips, the tape won't fold right. Okay, so now we're going to place it on the exterior panel. Okay, push that down a little bit more. There we go. I said, you can use clips to help hold that in place. So, all right, so I chose this exterior panel because my back panel already has the fleece on it. I've already, out of the seam allowance, there's a pattern piece for that. And I'm using fleece, so I have that, and I have my markings. Don't forget to make your center marks on all your pieces. And so then you're going to line this up, flip it in place, and then we're going to go to the machine and we're going to sew this down at the seam allowance that she says in the pattern. So I'm going to finish clipping this around and working with that a little bit, and we'll go over to the sewing machine and we'll sew it down. Okay, we're going to take this piece and we are going to sew around the edge of this. I took some double-sided tape again and used it. She says to do that in the pattern, and you can use that to keep it in place. If you're on a domestic machine, as you saw earlier, I did have it clipped. That works just as well to eliminate the bulk. So we're just going to start here. I have my stitches set at 6 for the stitch length, because this is basically top stitching. Don't forget to hold your threads. You can leave them long and tie them in the back if you'd like. Let's get that started. Okay, we clip that, and then we're going to go back over to the table. We will be clipping or cutting all this back here up to the seam allowance. I'm going to tie off my thread and we'll clip this, and I'll show you that when we get back to the table. Okay, so now I tied off the edges here, and the knots here for the thread, and now we're going to cut. I know this seems weird, but we're going to cut all this off back here within the seam allowance that's in the pattern. Like a lot of waste, but it makes a beautiful bag. We'll just cut all the way around here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to be putting the interfacing on the lower band only. Make sure you don't cut that other material. Take your time. All the way up. Okay. Save that maybe to make a band on another bag. That's a pretty cool idea. Okay. Cut that right, you probably could. All right, so then we're going to take the interfacing and we're going to put it on the back here. I will go to my iron and press it down, because then the next step is we're going to be making the markings for the rivets that goes on the front of the bag. Okay, so I put the fleece interfacing, I ironed it on. I cut out little strips of foam for my rivets. It's going to take 13 of them. So I left a couple to show you how to do it on the press. I use this hammer and this little thing to make the holes. It's in the pattern where to lay out the holes. And one thing that's really great that my husband got me is when the rivets go bad, this tool is the best. I will have a link below so where you can get that tool to remove rivets. It is so easy. Absolutely love it. So we're going to finish the last 3 here. put it on my press, line it up, give it a little push, and we're golden. We'll finish these up. Okay, so all the rivets are done. So the next thing that we're moving on to is, I believe, the bottom. I do have, like I said, the interfacing on my other exterior panel. So we are going to go and take the bottom, and you should have your centers marked out. I always do a little clip. Well, that's a little thick, I guess, because of the fleece. And mark your centers there. As we'll mark all of them because we're going to need them down the road. Just keep it out of the seam allowance. Okay, so we've got that marked. And now we're going to mark the center of this front. Clip there. And a little clip there. We're going to take our bottom right sides together. We're going to clip it, take it over the sewing machine, sew the seam allowance, and then we'll flip it down and we'll top stitch it. So let's go to the machine. Okay, so we are going to sew this on at the seam allowance. It's in the pattern. Don't forget to back stitch and don't forget to hold your threads. And I reset my stitch length at about 4.5. The rivets want to get stuck on the table there, so be careful of that. Hold it up. Okay, now it's time to back stitch. Okay, and now we're going to fold our bottom down, and we want the seam to go towards. Now for the domestic, you should probably cut out your fleece out of the seam allowance. But with my machine, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to change my stitch length to 6, and then we're going to bring the other exterior back piece, connect it the same way that we did this one, top stitch it, and then we'll go over to the table and put the feet on it. Okay, we've got that all done. We'll clip our threads. And now we have the exteriors hooked to the bottom. And we'll go over and put our purse feet on. And then we will move to the next step. Okay, now I'm going to put my purse feet on it. I use this little mat. And actually, I use my seam ripper, poke a hole through it, make a little, just a little slit, and do that to all the holes. I have to remember which purse feet I'm using. Actually, I'm using screw-in ones. So, with the screw-in ones, what you're going to need to do is actually make a hole. So using this tool here is awesome. So put the mat underneath, put it right over the marking, and make your hole. Okay, and then you will take one of the screws, push it through the hole. I like to use some glue on these, especially with the screw type, and just put a little drop of 3-in-1 glue in the hole, and then push that through, screw that in there, and then I have my little, I should say, a screwdriver here to tighten that down a little bit. Oops. Okay, so then you just hold that and screw that in, and then I'll put a little duct tape over that just to make sure. Let's do another one. Put the screw in, a little bit of glue. Okay. And put that there. Might be best just to hold it and try to screw it in that way so the glue doesn't get all over my fingers. There we go. Screw them down as tight as you can. Check, make sure they look good. That one could be a little tighter. Try not to want your fingernail to go underneath it. But. All right, so I'm going to finish up with the other two and come back, and we will go to the next step. So good. Okay, so now we put the two sides together after we put the feet on. And then I put a little bit of duct tape on there to hold it besides the glue. So now we're going to sew the sides together at the seam allowance. And then we're going to box the corners and sew them down at the seam allowance as well. Stitch length is back to 4.5. Hold your threads. And let's get started. Don't forget to back stitch. Okay, now we're going to box the corners. And you're going to take it and match up your centers with the seam, lay it flat, and clip it. Kind of clip both sides there of the vinyl. And make sure it lays flat. Not sure if I'm going to have to take my plate off. We'll see how well this does. Okay, I'm going to sew it at the seam allowance in the pattern. Okay, so we'll trim that off there, and now we can turn the bag, and let's see what we've got. Okay. It's a very, very easy pattern. The box corners, the turning of the bag is going to be even better when we put the lining and the bag together. I'll show you that. I do it a different way than some people do, because most of you know how hard it is on your hands to birth a bag. Okay, that looks good. Let's do the other side. Corners. That looks nice. Push that one out. All right, there you go. So there's the exterior of our bag, and then the back, the feet. All right, now it's time to go put our lining together. Okay, time to put the zipper pocket together. I have my zipper overlay already prepared, and I put 2 pieces of double-sided tape on there. In her pattern, she does have a tutorial on how to do the zipper pockets assembly, but I'm going to show you how to do it here. She has the measurements. Oh, forgot to find my centers, and now everything wants to stick to me. That's okay. We'll just kind of give it a little squish right there. With vinyl, you can kind of do that. And then you want to line it up on there. Press them down. And then we're going to take it over to the sewing machine, and we're going to stitch around it. If you have a tag you want to put in here, this is a good time to do that. And then we'll come back and do the zipper pocket itself, how to put the zipper on there, and go from there. So I'll meet you over the machine. Okay, I decided to put the zipper panel together since I'm going to take it over the sewing machine. And I already drew a little line across the zipper here. That helps when you put your zipper pull on, it helps you line it up. So you just take it, break it apart, put your zipper pull on the jig, and then take it and separate it, kind of curve it, line them up. Oops, got to push down a little further. And then you just push it through, and as long as your lines match up, then your zipper is on nice and even. So we're going to get this out of the way, and then to put the zipper on, you want to put it face up onto your, sorry for the noise, zipper panel, and you're going to go over and baste it on. And then you're going to bring the other side up to meet underneath the zipper, so it's like the right side to the wrong side. And to double check to make sure your zipper's right, as long as you have your inside there, then you know, and your wrong sides are outside. So once I sew that on, then I'll bring this one up, clip it, and sew it, and then we'll go to the next step. Okay, so now we're going to sew around the zipper overlay and make sure your stitches are set for the top stitching. And I'm going to start kind of more in the middle because I'm going to bring my threads through and tie them. But I want to make sure I have both of them. Hopefully you can see. Big arm in the way. Okay, now I'm gonna just tie off the threads and take this over to the table after I sew the zipper. Tie them off, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so I cut the threads and tied them behind there. That's what this looks like. So now we're going to prep the zipper. And like I said, we're just going to baste this on. So hold your threads, and I still have it on my 6 stitch length. And we're going to go down and sew here, baste it on. Then remember I said earlier, and you're going to pull it up, and you're going to baste, clip it, and baste the other side, and then we'll take it over the table and I'll show you the next step. Okay, I love this narrow foot on here, and the table has the seam allowance engraved in it. It's a great table, and it's small enough to give you that extra stability. Just love it. All right, so let's take this over the table and let's finish up the zipper panel. Okay, so now we have the zipper panel and the zipper overlay all ready to go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut this center out. And the way I do that is I just put a little snip in it and cut down to the center of it would be your best bet. And you want to go real slow and get underneath your vinyl here. You don't want to cut your vinyl. And you go about halfway and flip it around. Go slow, get your scissors under there. And then you're gonna flip it over, and then you're gonna cut this out. Okay, once you have that done, you can turn it around and you don't see it. So now we're going to take the zipper pocket here, and I always like my zippers heading towards the left. So I am going to push this down. Now this is waterproof canvas and it can be real stiff. So a little trick that I learned is even if, now this pocket, you're not going to have to go through. You're not taking the bag through this, but I'm still going to cut it out because I'm doing box corners and I do a different way. So I'll show you my way, and or you can follow along with the directions she has. It's fabulous, but I try to save my hands as much as I can. So in order to lay this flat, I will take 1/8 inch double-sided tape, and I will put it on the bottom of this here, all the way across. And then peel it off, take the backing off, and then lay it down, and it gives me a nice flat zipper. And then while that's laying like that, I will cut this, and then you won't have uneven pockets where you have to sometimes cut the piece off. So there you go. Now the next thing is I'm going to take the same tape and put it up on top of the zipper, and I'm going to put it on the bottom. One-8 inch double-sided tape is awesome. I love that size. All right, so now I'm going to take off just the top, and I'm going to lay it down, and then I'm going to measure. I use my stitches. I don't know if you could see them. If not, find a focal point to kind of make it for you even on both sides, because you want to make sure that when you sew this down that you catch everything. And then you just lay it with your zipper centered in the middle, and then press the top down. Okay, and then you want to get your zipper pull out of there. Okay, and double check so it's all nice and even, and then you lift it up and you take the other piece of backing tape off and just lay it kind of gently. It will kind of fall into place if you have the top aligned, and then you just press that down. Okay, so now we're going to go over the machine, and we're going to sew all the way around the top. Make sure you move your zipper pull out of the way, and go to the next step. Okay, so we're ready to sew the bottom piece on, and now that we have the zipper pocket open, you want to make sure you keep it open, lay it flat, and again I'm going to go kind of in the middle and just work with it a little bit. And I got to scoot that over just a little bit. Okay. And then remember to hold your threads, so if you have to kind of scoot them off to the side, you can. I have my stitches on 6 for top stitching. Alrighty. Okay, now we just thread long, and we are going to tie them off in the back here. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm going to take the 4 threads and just tie them together in a double or triple knot and cut them off, and And we're going to sew the pocket up, only the sides. Okay, so there is our zipper pocket overlay. Stick that in there. Okay, now to do the sides, you still have the tape. You can either remove it, or if it comes off easy. And you want to do the seam allowance and go back to your 4.5, and you'll peel this back, and you're going to sew down your pocket at the seam allowance. If you can really see that. Okay, and what I forgot to do is I usually will fold that up a little bit, and it gives it a nice, I'll show you when we do the pocket, when we close up the pocket, how nice that makes it. So I just fold that up, back stitch, and we'll go and do the same thing to the other side. And you can trim off this excess here. Pocket's a little short on that end, but there we go. Okay, and then since I've already put that crease in there, I'll put that little crease over here on this side to make sure it's on both sides. I mean the same side. And okay, and we'll trim that side. And the pocket panel will be, pocket panel and zipper overlay will be done. Okay, there we go. Looks nice. Nice little pocket opening in there. Okay. Okay, we're coming down the home stretch. I put both of my lining pieces together, right sides together. You will see in her pattern that she'll start off at seam allowance, and then she'll increase it for the rest of the bag. I kind of, I like to make a little mark on my bags. If I don't have another reference, I make a little mark kind of where I want to go in, start going in, so they're even on both sides. Just a little trick I kind of did myself here. So we'll start off at the seam allowance. Make sure your stitches, don't forget to back stitch. All right, time to increase it. Okay, now we're going to go on the other side. I'm going to trim this down a little bit. I'm not going to trim past this point because you need that to help open up your seams. In fact, kind of down here too. Give it a little space, so when you do the box corners, you have a little bit more seam to work with. Okay, so we'll clip off our threads. Now in the pattern, she has you sew on the bottom here and over here to leave this open to turn the bag. Again, I find it easier to bring it up through the zipper pocket and have the bag completely open at the bottom for turning. So we're going to go back over to the table and put the two pieces together. Okay, I thought we were going to put the lining in. I had forgotten we have to put the zipper in. So in the pattern, it will have your marks that you will have to do for your zipper, and you want to do a 90-degree angle on it. So we're going to mark it with the measurements that she has in the pattern. And then you're going to pinch it. And it's always easier said than done. And pinch it, bring it in at a 90-degree. And then we're going to clip it. And then same thing on the other side. And some people glue it, some people hand sew it, which on this big machine, sometimes hand sewing is a little bit better. But so whichever is easier, and you just baste this all the way up on both sides, and get that done, and I'll come back and we'll go from there. Okay, I decided to do it by hand, and I took the zipper apart, which would make it easier because I do have my marks on the back, so I can line up my zipper. You want to take your zipper, and it needs to be right side down, and you're going to line it up with the mark, and then you're going to clip it to the panel. And then you're going to clip it all the way to the end mark. And then when you sew this on, you'll baste it on, and you'll take it to the end mark and kind of pull your zipper tape down so you don't sew it in all the way. So you just clip that all the way across. And I'm going to do that to the other side, and then we'll take it over to the machine and sew it on. See, there's the other mark. I just clip it right there. And so there you go. And I'll clip the other side, and I'll meet you over at the machine. Okay, we're going to baste the zipper on, and when you do the other side, make sure that you're starting over here with the mark so this matches up. You want to make sure your marks match up, and then we're going to baste both sides, and then it's almost time to put the bag together. It's so much better than flatbed trying to shove it under there. All right, so I'm going to baste it just at my normal stitch length. And you can back stitch if you want to feel secure. Just take your time, because you don't want to stretch the zipper. Okay, and you want to make sure you look for the mark. And then when you get to that mark, you want to taper it and pull your zipper tape down. Alrighty. Okay, so we've got that side done. Now we'll go and we'll do the other side the same way. At your starting and stopping point, don't forget to pull your tape down at the end by the mark. Actually, we're going to start at that side, so we will be pulling that down at the beginning. Okay, so we're gonna just totally go across this, and then you can clip off your zipper tape, trim that down, and then we're gonna go and see what the next step is. Okay, the next step is, as I said, is we'll trim those off. And then we're going to take our exterior right side out, and we're going to slide it into our interior, or our lining. And with this being left open, makes it so much easier to go from the bottom and pull it right up. Now if you want your zipper pocket in the back, then you put it towards the back. And we're going to find our marks, our center marks. I'll do the front here. And then we're going to clip it all together, all the way around. And then we're going to take it over to the sewing machine. We're going to sew it at the seam allowance. I just put a couple clips on each side of the notch first. Just pull it down to where you need it. There's the center. And just line it up with the zipper on the top of the exterior. And you want to line up your seams. Just give it a little tug. To me, it gives it a little more room to work with without that bottom being all squished up. You open up your seams. Clip it all the way around. Make sure that your zipper tape, if I hadn't mentioned it before, make sure it's pushed down. You can reach up and make sure it's laying flat. There we go. Because you want them definitely out of the way. Open up your seams. Okay, so I'm going to clip around the rest of this bag. It's early morning. And then we'll take it over the machine and sew around it, again at the seam allowance. Fits so nice in there. I love her bags. All right, be right back. Okay, as you can see, I clipped it all the way around. It fits real nicely in there. I don't think I've ever had a lining and exterior not fit as well as her bags do. So we're going to start basting it, or not basting it, we're going to do it at the seam allowance in the pattern. All the way around. Back stitch. Hold your threads. Okay, all the way around, back stitch, and now we're ready to finish this bag up. I'm going to show you how easy it is. Excuse me. Show you how easy it is. Take this, pull the bottom, pull it up all the way around. How nice that is. Okay, and then you're going to take it. And guess what? You just birthed the bag. Oh, I love it. Like I said, box corners, it's the easiest way to birth this bag. Now granted, you got to bring it up through the zipper pocket, but there's worse things. Okay, so now we just pull the zipper up and we're going to line everything up. You can clip it if you want. I like to reach my hand in here and work this seam a little bit, because sometimes it will lay better if you can get the seam on both pieces there to get them to lay flat. Some people have used double-sided tape to do that on one of them, but I think we're going to be able to work this out a little bit. All right, get that laid up, lay that piece down. All right, I'm going to clip this and I will be back with you to finish up the bag. Okay, I clipped around, just gentle little clips on there, and you want to roll that between your fingers and make sure all the lining is pushed down inside the bag. You want to make sure that your zipper tape is out of the way, because we're going to sew around and top stitch. And I'm going to change my stitches to 6. And make sure you pull your thread out. I always put it in the back because I'm going to pull my threads through. So leave them long. Get that in there. If I can get my knee. There we go. And then when I get to the seams, I have, and I'm sure some of you have seen, just a little piece of material that I'm going to put behind as we go over the seams, because I don't want the pressure of this ripping the vinyl at the seams. Sometimes it makes little marks, because the machine, I've noticed that, I don't know if it's because of the power of it, but I don't want to leave marks. So hang on to your threads and let's get going. Okay, we're gonna leave our threads long, pull them through, tie them to the back. And then we'll go into the next step of bringing up the lining and closing it up. Okay, so I've got that tied off. Everything looks good. I do have a little bit of a ripple in the zipper. Hopefully that'll take care of itself when we put the zipper pull on it. So you want to reach in and pull your lining through. And I just like this so much better. Might be a little more work, I don't know. But you just get such a nice seam. You don't have that separation. Just up there. And we're going to clip it together and sew it at the seam allowance all the way across. There we go. Not so bad. Match up your markings. And then we're going to take, when we're done with that, and after we trim it, then we're going to put these together. Again, trim it, or sew at the seam allowance. Split your centers here, line them up, sew across on both ends, trim them down, and then you'll push it back in the bag and we'll zip up the zipper pocket. Okay, so now we're going to trim this off, and I am going to take this plate off, because as it gets down to this part, sometimes the table, it's a great table, don't get me wrong, it just, I feel like it's hampering going around on the tighter areas, which, why wouldn't it? It's a small area. So we're going to pull this, like I said, match the seams, clip it. We'll do this on the other side, and get that all ready. Sometimes I just like to make sure I pull that out like that. That. Sometimes you can even stick your fingers inside there to help pull. Get more of a even line there. Lay that down. Yeah. Out. Okay, and like I said, I'm going to take this plate off. Still got to hold your threads no matter which way you go. And again at the seam allowance. Don't forget to back stitch. We're going to shove that back in there. And reach in and line it up in the corners. Flip it around. Look how pretty that is. And there, we got the lining done. And now we're gonna pull out the zipper pocket and finish that up. And I folded down the edges like that. Did that little fold, and then you just take it and tuck it, pull it a little bit so you can get your seam allowance, or what, you know, probably 1/4 of an inch. And clip it all the way across. Sew it as close to the edge that you can so you don't have a lot sticking up. Alrighty, we've got that done. Try to hit the basket. Tuck that back in there. And work out your corners. And we're going to take it back over to the table, and we're going to put the grommets in it. Put the zipper pull and zipper end. And I'll make my decision if I'm going to use the chain or the strap. More than likely it's going to be the chain, because I just think the chain would just set this off. Okay, so here you have it. Lining all done, zipper pocket. Looks good. All right, meet you over at the table. Okay, so I'm going to try to show you how to do grommets. I already poked the hole in there because, again, there was the mark for it. And the tool I used with this was a punch. And I've got this whole set here. That's really awesome. So this was a 1/2 inch that I used. And I laid it down, put a mat in it so you're not poking holes all the way through. And then I got a cutting board that I use because you need more stability. So then you'll place it in there, lay it down, take your tool, and hammer it. Now I had to do a little cutting with my scissors, but it worked. So now I have the holes. So we'll move this out of the way. And then bring in my press, which is set with the 1/2 inch grommet tools. You're going to take your grommet, and the top will go in there, and you want to, I hope you can see all this, push it through and make sure that the material, I'm going to have to do it this way, guys, sorry, that the material goes all the way around, and work it in there. Then you get your backing or a washer, and you put it over the backing, and somehow or another There we go. Just got to work with it. I don't know about you, but I'm not a big grommet fan. But it does make the bag beautiful. So sometimes you just got to give in to your fears. Okay, so once you get the backing on there, and you push it down around the grommet, sometimes the material's getting in the way, so just be patient and work it and push it all the way down. And then you want to do it from the front side down on the bottom and put it into your press. And then push it down. Get your hands out of the way. And push it down hard. And then pop it up. And you have a grommet. Now I did this one and I already put the gate ring in it. Here, you push that and just put it in there. And I put my zipper pull on there. And let me show you how cool that looks. The zipper actually worked out better. I thought it was going to be wrinkled, but it's not so bad. And then you zip it up. And there you go. So I'm going to finish with the other one and put the zipper in on there. And this bag will be done. Oh, actually, no, I'm going to put the chain on and I'll show you guys how to do that. Well, looks like we finished the bag. I decided to go with the strap, which looks really cool, especially from the back. Okay. I have strap ends I put on it. We have the gate ring, the zipper with the zipper end. Here is the zipper panel and zipper overlay. It looks really good. It's a nice little bag. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more, please subscribe. And if you'd like to purchase this bag, you can go to my website at bagsbybeckymac.com. Thank you and have a great day.